corner of northeastern Ohio, you'll find a house of dreams.
This is a special place. This is a celebration of football.
Just about the greatest dreams a football player could ever imagine having. Dreams of reaching the most hallowed hall this game has to offer. These days, they all find out that the dream has become a reality the same way. A knock comes at the door, and there's that magical instant of comprehension.
Wow, man, stop, man.
You're kidding.
You have made it. Welcome to camp.
This better not be no joke.
They've all made an imprint on the history of the game. And now this hall guarantees that they'll be remembered.
Seymour with the send.
Deep to the end zone to Branch.
For as long as this sport continues to mean so much to so many.
How bad do you want it today?
All these generations, side by side.
This right here, this is football heaven.
Every year, welcoming in a new group to join them.
We'll be there forever and ever and ever.
A new class.
To join these men is the greatest day of my life.
Rightfully taking their place.
Yesterday, it was just a dream, but tonight, it's reality.
At the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Good evening and welcome to Canton, Ohio and Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium for the NFL's preseason opener between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Las Vegas Raiders. But first, let's meet the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2022. This defensive back anchored Green Bay's secondary for 12 years. A member of the All-Decade team in the 1990s, he won Super Bowl 31 and also invented the Lambeau Leap, Leroy Butler. This first-round pick out of Notre Dame spent his entire career with the 49ers. He won a Super Bowl, comeback player of the year, and amassed 89.5 career sacks, all while building an iconic legacy. Bryant Young. This towering defensive lineman entered the league in 2001 and won 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 years with the Patriots. An all-decade team member of the 2000s with New England and Oakland. Richard Seymour. Art McNally will be the first on-field official enshrined in Canton. Considered the father of modern officiating, McNally most notably brought instant replay to the NFL in 1986. McNally's watching from home and represented here by his grandchildren, Shannon and Connor O'Hara. As a head coach for Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Kansas City, this man led significant turnarounds for all 3 teams, highlighted by a Super Bowl 34 victory with the Rams and their greatest show on turf offense, Dick Vermeil. There are 2 inductees being honored posthumously. Sam Mills beat long odds to play 12 NFL seasons. As an all-pro linebacker and later assistant coach for the Carolina Panthers, Mills left an indelible mark on the franchise that is still felt today. His wife, Melanie, is walking in his honor tonight. Cliff Branch was a lightning-fast, 3-time All-Pro receiver who helped the Raiders to 3 Super Bowl titles in the 70s and 80s. He is represented by his sister, Elaine Anderson. And this man was picked 2nd overall before Jacksonville's inaugural season in 1995 and immediately became one of the best offensive tackles of his era. The first ever Jaguars draft pick is now their first Hall of Famer, Tony Boselli. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 Pro Football Hall of Fame induction class. They are inducted Saturday afternoon, and tonight with a little bit of delay, we get the season going. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, ready to roll. So as we said, some similarities with these teams, both in the AFC, which has a bunch of stacked teams. It's so good in that conference. I want to start with the Raiders and Josh McDaniels as he inherits a 10-win playoff team, but really could do something special with this group, I think.
I think they have big expectations, and deservedly so. They were a playoff team a season ago. They're not rebuilding anything. They signed Devontae Adams. They signed Chandler Jones. This is a team that is competing for a Super Bowl championship right now, and they have the talent to do it.
All right, so 3-14, worst record in the league for the second straight year for Jacksonville, the number 1 overall pick for the second straight year. But Doug Peterson comes in, and it's a good feel, Chris, I think, that Jacksonville is going into this preseason with.
Yeah, you know, it's nice having a coach who's already won a Super Bowl, right? As your head coach, no question. But I think job one for him has been, let's just calm the waters a little bit with this Jacksonville franchise. But he has Trevor Lawrence, who has Travis Etienne, his own teammate with Clemson. You just never know. Could the Jags possibly be that team like Cincinnati a season ago that just shocks everybody?
Hey, this is the time. Everybody's got hope and belief. We'll see some of the stars of the future as we honor the legends of the past. We do it in the birthplace of football, Canton, Ohio, as the season begins anew from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. '60th anniversary of the first Pro Football Hall of Fame game, Jaguars and Raiders tonight. One of the storylines, the return of a familiar face to a familiar role on the sideline. Yes, we speak of Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels, but we also speak of Melissa Stark. Melissa, welcome to Sunday Night Football.
Mike, thanks. It's great to be back, and it's great for Josh McDaniels to be back. This is where it all began for him. He grew up 5 minutes from here. He was the quarterback of Canton McKinley High School, which is about 100 yards to my right, and he played his home games on this field. His dad, Tom, was his coach. At 4 years old, Josh started coming to his practices with his dad, stood right near him, dressed just like him. The short shorts, the high socks. The only rules, he couldn't cry or whine or get in the way. That is when he fell in love with the game, and he told us tonight is surreal. His parents are very nostalgic this week, telling me we blinked, and now he's head coach of the Raiders. His mom, Chris, said her ticket request for tonight started at about 20, but quickly grew to over 100 when Josh said, "Don't leave anyone out. I don't know if I'll ever coach here again. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity."
Well, they're so excited. Got to speak to Tom on the field before the game. Melissa, on the opposite side, we mentioned Doug Peterson, head coach of Philadelphia, when they beat McDaniels and New England in Super Bowl 52. 5 years as head coach of the Eagles. Out last year, makes his debut with the Jaguars here tonight. So we were delayed. The field was cleared at 7:34. We're starting at about 8:40 Eastern, but worth the wait. The 2022 NFL preseason is underway, and we'll begin with a touchback, and the Raiders will get out there on the field first. So Derek Carr, of course, will be the Raiders starter, if healthy, once the season begins. He's looked terrific so far in their camp. But Jarrett Stidham will see the action at the beginning of this preseason game, and Patriots fans know him, the 4th-round pick for New England in 2019. If you remember going into that season that Tom Brady left, many thought Stidham might be the quarterback. And then they brought in Cam Newton. Didn't work out for Stidham. He was traded in this offseason to the Raiders, and Josh McDaniels is somebody who knows his offense very well to run the show in Las Vegas.
Like 20! Wide 20! 48!
Josh Jacobs starts as the back.
Out, go!
And from the 25, Stidham will begin with a Raider-like play, a shot downfield that was deflected but caught as Keenan Cole ends up coming up with it, and Cole advances it out to the 44-yard line. So a pickup of 31 on the very first play. And a flag.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 44, defense. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. Automatic. First down.
So it's 46 in total, and welcome to the NFL for the number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, he comes in. The good news is he got there. The bad news is he got the foul. I think they'll take the good news, though, when you got the number 1 pick. And it looked like he was trying to take the deep shot, and the ball just fluttered straight up in the air and happened to come down to a Raider.
Walker, who was a star at Georgia, but not a stat star. They had so many great defensive players as they won the national championship, and Chris will get into it. Walker bounced around. Jaguars want him on the edge, rushing. First run, and it's Jacobs with a big opening. Josh Jacobs to the 17-yard line and a first down, gain of 12.
Well, the question with this Raiders football team is always the offensive line. What are they going to look like up front? And if that's any indication, that was a giant hole. And you get the feeling that Josh Jacobs, who did not get that fifth-year option picked up, came out here ready to play some football.
48! Like 20! Hot!
Down from the 17-yard line. They'll check it down to Jacobs. They try to get to the outside, but cannot do it. Trey Herndon brings him down. Corner out of Vanderbilt with the stop.
Yeah, and for Jacksonville, they have quite a few of their defensive frontline players out there.
Yeah.
So this is not some ragtag bunch that the Raiders and Stidham are driving down the field against.
Hey, 48's the mic! Like 20! Hot!
Second and 10 for Stidham. Jacobs to the left. Got to have an arm tackle and gets 3 yards as he's pushed out of bounds. There's Chad Muma, one of the draft picks for the Jaguars, with that tackle.
Yeah, and Chad Muma was a bit of a surprise that he was still there in the draft because they had already taken Devin Lloyd. They traded up in the first round to get yet another linebacker, and yet Muma was so much the best player on the board when he was there in the third round. They went ahead and took him, and they like him. He's very much in the mix to start.
Lloyd's not playing tonight. He's the other first-round pick out of Utah.
Out, go!
3rd and 7, 5 in the pattern. Stidham inside, incomplete. Contact, no flag. Even though Tyron Johnson, the receiver, was hoping for one, and the Raiders will try a field goal on this opening drive.
Yeah, and that's part of the curse of preseason, if you will, because it ends up being pretty easy to move the ball between the 20s, and then it's a subspecialty inside that red zone because the field shrunk, and it's a totally different game plan, and believe me, they have not gotten to that part of the game plan yet.
Kicking rock solid for the Raiders. Daniel Carlson's been outstanding. Most points scored in the league last couple of years. And his field goal from 32 yards. First point of the season. So good start this Josh McDaniels era for the Raiders as the Jaguars get their hands on the ball for the first time. It's Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr. Guys who stay healthy. They'll be the starters for the Week 1 openers for these teams. Won't see the quarterbacks here tonight. Both have great things to say about what their preseason has been, and we'll share that with you as we go through the evening. You saw Snoop Connor, rookie out of Ole Miss, back deep to receive the Daniel Carlson kickoff, which is short enough to be fielded. And Connor let it bounce in the end zone, and it's a touchback. And Jacksonville will take over at the 25-yard line. So we said that there will be no Trevor Lawrence. There will not be C.J. Beathard either. He's nursing an injury. So Jake Luton is the quarterback, third year out of Oregon State. Those 3 starts you see that he lost came with Jacksonville. Jaguars took him in the 6th round of 2000. Started 3 games when Gardner Minshew was injured. Last year he bounced around Seattle and Miami. Now he's back in Jacksonville with hopes of making this roster.
Big guy. He knows he's going to have to train himself to make some throws right out of the pocket, but you watch him. He can play.
The 2 top running backs are out. Snoop Connor, who is back for the kickoff, is the running back who gets it started. He gains 3 yards to the 28-yard line. Kendall Vickers with the stop for the Raiders. Those top 2 backs for Jacksonville are James Robinson, running back who's been good the last 2 years, and injured his Achilles the end of the season last year. And Travis Etienne, who never got going in his rookie season with a foot injury.
Travis Etienne is back. And when you start adding in that sort of easy yardage kind of running back, it's going to make this a different offense.
Hey, rip!
Hey, Tom, look at me.
Empty backfield on 2nd and 7. Luton is flushed and chased, and he will just get rid of it and throw it out of bounds. Gary Green was pressuring for the Raiders, first-year man out of Mississippi State.
It's always so hard because you work with so many different people in camp. You try and get a little continuity going on the offensive side, and yet there you are once again, the guy you probably spent the most time working with, Travis Etienne, over on the sideline, and it's just one of those things. And yet somehow the players that are on the field here tonight have to make that impression on these coaches, because this is probably as much as they're going to play all year.
3rd and 7, Raiders bring 4. And Luton throws sideline, incomplete, trying to get it to a veteran, Laquan Treadwell. Back in the day was a Vikings first-round pick, and it's 3 and out for the Raider defense.
It's always that strange time of the game. If you're Derek Carr, you're going, all right, I need to play. You know? It's like, you really, when they tell you, when you're back at the practice facility, you're like, okay, good, that makes sense. I totally get it. Then you get out there and you go, all right, I've got my uniform on. Let's go.
Logan Cook, 5th year at Mississippi State, is the punter. Darius Phillips back to get it. Pretty good kick. 57 yards and taken right to the sideline, too, and out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Beautiful kick by Cook. Rudy Ford forced him out of bounds. So we alluded to this Raiders season, very difficult season, a lot of tumult. Richie Bisaccia came in, replaced John Gruden after week 5. This team got off to the good start, then went through the tough patch, but they had 4 must-wins, and they did, to make the playoffs, including that incredible Sunday night at the end of the season against the Chargers. One of the 6 walk-off wins, most last-play wins by any team in one season. And Mark Davis saw his team go to Cincinnati and lose by 7 to the Bengals in the wild card game. Of course, we know what happened to the Bengals. They ended up getting to the Super Bowl.
Wait, 20, hot.
Second drive for Stidham. Starts at the 16. And with time, gets it incomplete. Pass was a pretty decent one, but Tyron Johnson couldn't bring it in. We'll have second down.
You think about Jared Stidham and the fact that he has a big edge, right? I mean, he's got his head coach, or at least offensive coordinator, when he was with the New England Patriots, so he probably has 3 years of experience in this offense. Everybody else has maybe 3 months of experience in trying to put this thing together. So this is a great opportunity for Stidham to come out, make a statement. He's not going to be the starting quarterback here with the Raiders, but he definitely has a chance to make an impression.
He speaks the language for sure. Jacobs with a good run here as he's in for a second drive. Josh Jacobs gains 9 yards. But, Chris, that's so important for a guy like Josh McDaniels. You have somebody to come in who speaks the language that you're teaching. So if you need translation, I got somebody else on the field, one of your peers who can help you out.
Yeah, and it's not just the players. Sometimes you have to coach the coaches a little bit. And when you think about it, Josh McDaniels and Stidham probably know as much about how they want to operate this offense as anybody on that coaching staff.
Wait, 20, hot.
3rd and 1, it's back to Jacobs and another hard run, and he gets the first down. It's interesting to see Jacobs for a second drive, and I love the point you made, Chris. This is a guy who knows new staff here. You didn't pick up my 5th year. I got something to prove, and I'm going to start with preseason game 1.
You know, I really love it because it's not the Patriot way to really have the bell cow back.
Right.
It really isn't, and they've got a lot of good backs. Kenyon Drake here now, Amir Abdullah. They drafted Zamir White, brought over Brandon Bolden. So they could play the way the Patriots typically do with a lot of guys in specific roles. But Jacobs may have another story to tell about that.
29, good throw by Stidham will pick up another first down. Foster Moreau, the tight end who did a nice job for the Raiders last year. He caught a career-high 30 passes. And we have a Jacksonville defensive back, Tyson Campbell, who was a high second-round pick a year ago out of Georgia, is shaken up. That's a guy who has played well for them early in their camp.
And that's when, as a head coach, you take that big gulp and you go, what am I doing? Let me get my guys out of here, because that's what you don't want to see.
Corner there, counting on. Injury timeout here in Canton. Good news for the Jaguars fans. Tyson Campbell got off the field under his own power. Meantime, Trayvon Walker, the #1 overall pick, remains out there. And on 1st and 10, here's a run with Jacobs. for about 1.5 yards.
Yeah, it's hard to take your eye off of Trayvon Walker, really, because he was such a surprise in many ways, being the #1 overall pick. So many people thought Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan was going to be that, and yet the more they watched Trayvon Walker, and he was playing nose tackle, he was playing the 3 technique inside, he was playing on the edge, he was playing off-ball linebacker. They just kept seeing more and more things that he could do. But right now, their mission is to leave him in one spot on the edge and let him learn that and go to work.
50. Out, go!
On 2nd and 8, after Stidham gets it away quick, and Jacobs on the run into Jaguar territory to the 44-yard line for a first down and a gain of 14. So it has been a good show for Josh Jacobs in these 2 drives.
Yeah, and one of the things that they've done is they've been able to take one of their better players out there, Brandon Parker, move him over to that left tackle position to take on Trayvon Walker. So we're seeing good on good. This is not one of those matchups where you go, oh, okay, well, you expect Trayvon to just wear out that other guy. No, this is one of their better offensive linemen.
Jacobs gets a break. Amir Abdullah, the veteran, is in there at running back, and Stidham looking good so far. We'll get it to Abdullah, who almost lost the ball, but he's got it at the 39. And Shaquille Quarterman, third-year linebacker out of Miami, made the tackle.
All right, let's take a look at Trayvon Walker. We want to get as much as we can here. And I think the bear is jumping on his back just a little bit. You see the chip. That's probably something he wasn't used to seeing as he was playing inside against some of the guards and the centers. But he went to the combine and just blew everybody away. I mean, freakish athlete, ability to run, to move, to drop into coverage, do so many things. But there will be eyeballs on him all season long as that #1 pick.
Now he feels like he's in Athens. His old teammate Zamir White's the back, and there goes White, his first touch. And he gets it inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. That Georgia National Championship team, so much talent. You'll see a bunch of it in this preseason and regular season, including White.
I tell you, we're seeing a lot of good play up front. And let's talk for a minute about Lester Cotton, number 67 on that offensive line. He is one of the comeback stories of the entire season. That was a massive block he just put on out there.
25, it's White again with the toss to the left. And he'll pick up 4 yards, the 21-yard line. Cotton's an interesting story, like you said, Chris. He's a guy who the Raiders had. They let go of him a couple of times. He's changed his body, changed his attitude, and he has opened eyes the first 2 weeks of camp.
He really has, and so many people expected Alex Leatherwood, who was the high draft pick, #1 pick, who started at right tackle, moved into guard. But all of a sudden, for some reason, the light went on for Lester Cotton. And he's almost one of those guys that they now talk about, well, okay, he's a starter, and let's go on and talk about some other positions. But he really has made an impression on this coaching staff.
2nd and 7 for Stidham, and he runs into Trayvon Walker. And the #1 overall pick, he gets his first one. It's albeit a preseason sack. Good to get on the board.
Yeah, he's going to go one of the great moments of my life right here. And he has the contain on the outside, but you saw that a lot in college, especially with a lot of those inside rushes. When the quarterback tried to step up and through, he was too athletic for the people that were guarding him, and then he would come in and make a play. So now they have their headline in Jacksonville. We're good to go for this night.
#1 pick, not a bust. We're good, right?
Well,
3rd and 10. Stidham pressured again, and they get to him one more time. Arden Key, veteran Raider draft pick when he came out of LSU, gets the sack and pushes them back. There's a flag down. Nope, no flag.
All right, let's take a look at an ugly stunt coming around here, but somehow it worked. So many times when that inside rusher comes in and knocks into the outside blocker, that time Brandon Parker, he ends up with a free path to the quarterback. And it's exactly what we're talking about with that one. So Arden Key, the comeback to Jacksonville, is successful as well.
So this is going to be a 55-yard field goal attempt for Carlson. He's got this kind of range as we saw over the last couple of years. High snap brought down very well by A.J. Cole. Daniel Carlson's in midseason form. From 55, knocks it through 2 drives, 2 field goals in the rain here in Canton. 6-0 Vegas.
Man, football is a great teacher about a lot of things, about yourself, the responsibility of being a part of something greater than you, being humble and knowing how to handle success, how to be accountable to a team, to your teammate. Football teaches you a lot of those things.
BY, Bryant Young, Super Bowl champ, an All-Pro, Comeback Player of the Year, 3rd highest total of games with the 49ers in franchise history, 208, and he goes into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
It was a good one. I called some of his games when he was back at Notre Dame in my early broadcast career, but he was probably as well respected as any teammate. And you've seen throughout the course of his career the amount of respect other people have for him.
Great shot at the end of his career and his teammates taking him off the field on their shoulders. Snoop Connor, the return here for the Jaguars. He'll bring it out to the 25-yard line. And Melissa standing by with Bryant Young.
Yes, well, he had 14 dominant seasons in San Francisco, but you are no longer just 49er Bryant Young. You are Hall of Famer Bryant Young. How does that sound to you?
It sounds great, and I'm still kind of getting used to it, but I am super thrilled and honored to be here and amongst so many great players that have paved the way and set a standard in our game. Such a unique brotherhood, and got a chance to sit down with a bunch of people and just talk about ball and their time and experience and their journey. And wow, I'm still taking it all in.
I'm sure you are. There is an epic photo of you after your final game at Candlestick where you are being carried off the field by your teammates, all 305 pounds of you. Yeah. What do you think about when you look at this photo?
Wow, that's such an iconic photo. It really kind of encapsulates everything in terms of what a community we're a part of. And it takes the shoulders of other people to lean on, to carry you. And we do. We stand on those people's shoulders, and we're part of a community. And you just want to make sure that you do your part as a player. You're accountable to that guy, and you play hard for that guy and hope they do the same for you. But that picture really is special to me. Such a moment.
Your former coach, the 49ers, Steve Mariucci, said he told me you were to that defense what Jerry Rice and Steve Young were. Let's go back. Actually, let's just go back to Mike real quick. We had a play in the game.
Yeah, Melissa, we have a turnover there. It looks like with the Raiders, Jaylen Brown scooping it up, and Darius Phillips had the hit. Let's take a peek as the pass was thrown to Laquan Treadwell.
Looks like the forearm is on the ground.
There was contact on the front end. Yeah, there was contact. So,
but the officials typically are going to let that play go, right? And because they can always overturn it. They got it right.
Yep. Quick expedited review gets the ball back in the spot. It'll be 3rd and 5 for the Jaguars. And back to Melissa with Bryant Young one more time.
All right, we'll pick up where we left off. Mariucci said that you were to that defense what Jerry Rice and Steve Young were to the offense. Very high praise. To what do you attribute your success as a player?
You know, for me, it's really just being open to coaching, always not having the answer to everything, remaining just softened and teachable in moments where you know you need to get better. And for me, it was always trying to figure out ways to be better for my teammate, for the organization, and for the players. And I just attribute that to just being open-minded and being teachable and moldable. And for me, I was never satisfied. How could I get better as a player to be better for my teammates and the organization? That meant a lot to me.
And I wanted to ask you, because in 1998 you suffered a brutal leg injury, which nearly cost you your career. But you not only came back the next year, you were the comeback player of the year, you made the Pro Bowl. Everyone I talked to said you never complained, and you showed so much strength through it all. Where does that perseverance come from?
You know, I really had to dig deep down inside and lean on my faith a lot. It challenged my faith. It definitely grew in those moments. And, you know, with the support of my family and the fans, my teammates, the organization, and great medical team, that was a huge part of that. I had to dig down deep. And there were days where it didn't seem like it was getting better, and there was a little bit of light. And I just held on that and kept pushing forward and eventually came out on the other side.
All right, well, congratulations. This is so exciting to have all the family members here, and we just wish you the best this weekend.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Great visit, Melissa. Thank you. Snoop Connor with the carry there. He had a first down carry a bit ago. Nice pass from Jake Luton as we were visiting with Bryant Young. For a first down to Marvin Hall as the Jaguars are moving the ball here on their second drive with 2 minutes left in this first quarter.
Yeah, Jake Luton with a really nice throw on a few plays prior where he started looking to the right, came back to his check down. And it was one of the things that he talked to us about, that he wanted to be more of that pocket passer. Check out what's going on down the field. Be willing to dump it down to the back, but don't just take off and run all the time like he was early in his career.
Connor was going to pop that to the outside, but cuts back inside. Not a lot of room, only a gain of a yard. Let's dig a little deeper here, Chris, because Peterson inherits Luton, gets him back on this roster. When he had those 3 starts, 2 of them were at Green Bay and against Pittsburgh. Tough starts to be thrown in. In that Pittsburgh game, he had a bunch of turnovers, and that was really a lesson that has stuck with him as he prepares for this year.
Yeah, it's a weird number to think about, but 2.5 is the number all quarterbacks have to figure out. 2.5 seconds is how long you have to get the ball off in this league. That's why they've all gone to the shotgun, because they don't have time to get it and drop back under center. So a lot of play action, but it looks like Luton is sort of figuring it out here.
Shot here from the sideline. It's incomplete. He tried to get it to Tim Jones, a first-year man out of Southern Miss. Darius Phillips was in coverage. Can the quarterbacks like a Trevor Lawrence develop just that second nature of knowing how much time it feels like in 2.5 seconds?
Well, I mean, the stunning part about it is in college it's probably 3.5 seconds.
Right.
You play on Clemson or Alabama with those great offensive lines, you get spoiled. And then you come here and it's basically shock therapy. A lot of coaches will end up blowing a horn in 2.5 seconds so they know they're going to get a 60-yard shot.
Big Brian Santoso got a big leg, long enough to get it 60, but just wide right and no good. The 6'5", 250-yard kicker with the miss there. Right back to where they want it. The banner goes up, and then the Rams start the season with the team a lot of folks thought could have gotten there last year and think could get there this year out of the AFC, the Buffalo Bills.
If we could handpick the opener for the season, that would have been mine. That is going to be a matchup for the ages. Here we go.
Nick Mullins, new quarterback in. The exchange not clean, and Mullins, the 50-year man out of Southern Miss, able to fall on it.
Yeah, and it's always tough, right? You've got multiple centers. You're trying to figure out who's where, when, and then you also have a little rain thrown into the mix here as well. So welcome to preseason football. This is all part of it. But just to get back for a minute with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Rams, it's sort of one of those early statement games. Everybody is in love with the AFC teams this year, the quarterback shifting that way, and yet you know the Rams are out there going, we're the world champs.
Nice dump by Mullins. Amir Abdullah on the run. And to the sideline. Abdullah has shown a little bit of juice in camp in Vegas. Josh McDaniels likes what he sees. First down there to the 33 as this first quarter comes to an end in Canton with the Raiders leading the Jaguars 6-0. Before the second quarter, here's Melissa Stark with the Raiders head coach, Josh McDaniels.
Josh, your first quarter back as a head coach, what are your impressions so far?
A little sloppy, but we expected that. We got to do a good job with ball security now because the field's a little wet. Just keep our feet underneath us, but I think the guys are playing really hard.
I was going to say the weather's sloppy. All right, so you said it would be surreal coming back. This is a homecoming for you. What's it actually like?
Yeah, it's surreal. I played so many games in this stadium, and I've been here for so many years. To be able to play and coach my first game with the Raiders here is pretty special. A lot of people here. I hope it's a special night for them, too.
I know your parents are so proud.
Yes,
all right,
they are. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you to Josh McDaniels. Something new. Talk to the coach at the end of the quarter.
I love that. That's good. That's good. We're working Melissa tonight, aren't we?
48 to mine!
The Raiders continue. This is their third drive. Field goals of the first 2. Good field position after the missed field goal by Jacksonville. And from the 34-yard line, it's Kenyon Drake, the other back. So Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake both in action here for Josh McDaniels. And as we said, Chris, it's not just the homecoming deal, but it's the first time. You want to start setting a tone. Guys are proving themselves for the new head coach of Las Vegas.
And I want to say this about Josh. I've known him for a very long time. If you're the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, we've done a million of their games, right? We've had so many conversations about what went wrong when he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos when he was 32 years old.
Correct.
And I'll let a play run, and then I'll finish the story.
2nd and 9, and Mullins in the middle. It's caught. Good move, too, on the back end by Tyron Johnson inside the 10. Johnson takes it to the 8-yard line. 1st and goal, Las Vegas.
Nick Mullins has been around. He's started 17 games in his career, and one of the guys they're excited about is number 1, Tyron Johnson. He is a very electric, exciting football player and very much in the mix of that other receiver. Is it going to be Demarcus Robinson? Is it going to be Keelan Cole? Who is that other one going to be? Mac Hollins. But they really have their eye on Tyron Johnson, number 1.
From the 8-yard line, it is a toss to Amir Abdullah. Speed to the edge. And the season's first touchdown. Raiders offense looks just fine here in the first quarter and change.
Really complete loss of contain here on the part of the Jaguars, because they had a wide receiver on the outside of him, and once he cracks down, and Amir Abdullah gave it the spin kick and the straight kick, and you'll see there's just nothing out there at the end of this thing. Really nobody at all for them to block for a Luminaire.
Been an intriguing talent since the Lions took him in the 2nd round in 2015. Abdullah finds the end zone. Carlson adds the extra point. Las Vegas, 3 drives, 3 scores. Up 13-0. Kicking off the year.
And in my experience, things that are important in life and that mean something, there's a cost to them. Winning football games are hard. And I remember how much work I put in to get on that field to win. And when you won, there's not much better feeling. But when you lost, it hurt because it mattered. Being a part of football is amazing. And this is the highlight.
First pick, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, Tony Boselli. That Jacksonville franchise, Tom Coughlin built some kind of team right out of the gate. And Tony Boselli was the centerpiece of so much of what they did. Going in the Hall of Fame this weekend. Nathan Cottrell with the return for the Jaguars. He is down at the 20-yard line. And here is Melissa with Mr. Jaguar.
The first ever Jacksonville Jaguar inducted into the Hall of Fame. What does this accomplishment mean to you?
Well, it's been quite a journey, that's for sure. And I think, more I think it just validates what you did as a player on the field. And I don't think, at least I didn't play to make the Hall of Fame. But when you're all done, said and done, and your career's in the books, and for me it was a short career because I got hurt. It's you never know. And the fact that the people make the decision, debated it long and hard, and deemed me worthy to be in the Hall of Fame is quite an honor.
Well, I loved hearing that your mom said the first words ever out of your mouth, the first word was football. And here you are, you have lived a football life. What impact has the game had on you?
Oh, outside my faith and family, it's the biggest impact of my life. I've loved the game. I mean, being in the Hall of Fame for me is part of just being a little kid and a fan. Like today, I got to go talk to Jack Youngblood for 20 minutes. I was like, it's the greatest thing ever. I watched him with the Rams. But football taught me about hard work and perseverance and mental toughness and depending on people. So teamwork. The game has been so good to me, and now to be in the Hall of Fame with the greatest of all time of the game I love. I mean, pinch me. I mean, it's like I'm waiting to wake up and someone say, it didn't really happen.
I know it's a little bit bittersweet, though, for you, because your dad, Big Tony, passed away last year, but knowing that he was not in good health, your wife, Angie, had him record a video message. You just told me you were not able to watch it. This was months ago. They first showed it to you. You couldn't watch it. You first watched it in its entirety this morning.
Yeah, so this, my wife and one of my best friends, Eric Murphy, and his wife cajoled my dad to do it because he didn't want to do it because, he's fighting cancer and we knew he probably wouldn't make it. And which is a tough time. And he was a proud man. He didn't want to admit that he wasn't going to be there. And so not knowing whether I'd make it or not, my wife and Eric and Kay got together and they convinced him. And he fought it. He didn't want to do it. He was a proud man. And it did a 9-minute interview with him. And so Angie surprised me at the event in LA after the Super Bowl in February. Thank you. Yeah. But I couldn't watch it. I put my head in my hands. All I heard is how proud he was of me. Didn't watch everything. And this morning I watched the whole thing.
And what did you take away from it? What was the message?
The amazing thing is I laughed more than like any emotion because it was my dad. He was telling stories that were like half right, like any dad, proud of his son. And the takeaway I had is, at the end where he just says, I'm proud of my son. And really what stood out, he said he's a great man, but not because he was great at football, but just because of who he is. And as a son, what else do you want? It's like, okay, Hall of Fame's amazing, but my dad just say that to me. And so I'm so thankful to my wife and good friends that put that together. And I miss my dad. I wish he was here. I know he's watching from heaven, but it's not quite the same. But we're going to celebrate, and I know he's celebrating in heaven.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. Terrific guy, Tony. Thankfully shared that with us. Turnover here, as you saw. Marvin Hall got hit by Darius Phillips and Duron Harmon, former New England Patriot. A couple of Patriot veterans have come over to this Raider team. Harmon comes up with the recovery.
All right, let's just state the obvious right now, okay? The Raiders look pretty good.
They do. They do.
I know Josh, and this is early, and it's the Jags, and it's the whole thing, but the Raiders are coming out and looking pretty sharp here.
Since their fourth drive scored in the first 3, Mullins' pass is complete. Gained about 7 yards on that first down toss. Devontae Adams going to be part of this team this year. Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, all the options to throw it, but the addition of Adams from Green Bay changes the conversation about this Raiders team going into this season.
Yeah, it really does. He's a remarkable guy. He's tremendous in the red zone. Nobody can jam him off the line of scrimmage. And he and Derek Carr are best of friends, played together in college. And there is a chemistry between those two in many ways. Like we talked to both of them getting ready for this thing. You could see they're kind of the same guy, right? They're kind of, you can see almost a brotherhood between those two guys. But when they played together in college, they put up numbers that are just like, look like my career numbers in 1 year of playing together. Really a remarkable group. And I know we're all waiting, right? We're all just waiting to see what it looks like. Can they recreate it? And can they become a factor in that division that has been dominated by Kansas City for so long?
3rd and 1 run for the rookie, Zamir White. Be very close to the first down, but going to be about a foot short. Bring up 4th down. Andrew Wingard out of Wyoming made the tackle. So 4th down will be coming up here. Official blew the whistle there, stopped for a second to check on the Raiders tackle, Jermaine Illuminor. They're going to bring him over there to get a little medical attention. And that's something that everyone's very aware about, players and coaches and officials as well. See a guy you're not sure about, let's make sure we get him checked out.
Yeah, no question. We're talking about Devontae, and we asked him, why? Obviously, you've got your college buddy here, and Derek, and the whole thing, as we get to 4th down.
4th and inches, and Zamir White will get the first down. Hard to run for a couple of yards. Raiders keep this thing going.
But he was pretty open. And when he said one of the factors, not the only factor, but one of the factors was he didn't know how much longer Aaron Rodgers was going to play. He knew Derek Carr was going to be here for the length of the contract that he had. and he just wasn't sure. And so he sort of took the sure thing. Obviously, the money, a huge factor. Getting close to the West Coast again, where he lived in California, a factor. But definitely a factor was the uncertainty around Aaron Rodgers.
First down for the 44. Here's Zamir White. Terrific screen set up. White gains 19 yards to the 25-yard line.
One of the things I anticipated seeing from the Raiders was a greatly improved pass protection scheme. When you talk about Josh McDaniels and you talk about the Patriot system that they've had for so long, what is the most important thing? The most important thing is protection. They have protected Tom Brady back in the day forever, that inside-out blocking scheme, and so far it is working right now for the Raiders as well. It looks good.
The third-round pick, the rookie center, Dylan Parham in there. There's a flag down as Jacob Hollister catches this one on the sideline. He gained about 3 yards before Wingard tackled him, but Carl Cheffers will have the flag.
Formation, offense. Number 10 covered up another eligible receiver. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
So obviously Josh McDaniels, the head coach, all involved with the offense. The new coordinator is Mick Lombardi, 33 years old. He was in New England as the receivers coach.
Yeah, and Mick Lombardi, we know the dad, right? Mike Lombardi, who's been around football for longer than all of us have. And so it's great to see that next generation coming along here. And Josh McDaniels, you know, he got the job at a really early age. I think Josh started at like 23, something like that. So he was unafraid to take a few shots.
Well, to throw it out here, Matt Collins, a receiver who they were very interested in seeing, the veteran out of North Carolina, and he was stopped quickly on the edge by Trey Herndon, who made a play before. I want to clean up one thing before we go back to the Raiders. Earlier we saw Tyson Campbell from the Jaguars, the corner, get hurt. He came back on the field that next drive, so that should make the Jaguars fans feel better. He got right back out there and played a few more snaps.
50, Rita! 50,
we go with a little empty look, so Josh McDaniels doing exactly what he did in New England, throwing everything at this defense.
On 2nd and 16, Mullins directing traffic. An incomplete. Keelan Cole couldn't make the catch. We'll bring up third down.
I wonder if Doug Peterson's going over there like, wait a minute now, we had the phone call, and we agreed we're going to keep it really basic and really simple, and here you're coming out in every formation that I've ever seen in football's history.
Well, he and Josh did speak about how to handle. This is, as most of you know, it's the extra preseason game. Everybody else has 3 preseason games. These teams have 4, and they spoke and just said, well, we're going to keep this pretty basic here. Remember, they play later on in the regular season, so.
Yeah, that's what they used to do at the Pro Bowl, too, right before the fake punt hits you.
Mullins in trouble here, and he gets bowled over as the pressure was coming on Mullins. Caleb Chason started it. Arden Key was there as well.
Yeah, Arden Key's really been a factor here early on. He's been setting up inside and almost like in a spy kind of position. But Arden Key is a pretty strange story. He was a part of this Raiders team, and all of a sudden he goes away, really wasn't productive. He goes away to San Francisco, plays there, ends up with 6.5 sacks. And they said, we'll take you back. So now he's back, and he's been productive so far in this one.
And Chris, he's the guy who said, I'm going to take it upon myself to be the veteran to build up this group of pass rushers. Touchback here on the punt by A.J. Cole. Jaguars will take over at the 20 as you look at all those busts in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
If you want to be great, if you really want to be truly great, I think you have to be a competitor. That has to be your spirit. Like, you have to want to compete. Your will to win, your drive to win, it has to be unmatched. And it's like the crowning jewel to a historic career, and it's something I'll forever be grateful for.
So many terrific players on those Super Bowl Patriots. The first part of the run, Richard Seymour honored 3 times a first-team All-Pro selection. Remember that 2000s All-Decade team. Long and very successful career. The Patriots were 84-27 in the games he played. Jaguars back to it. Jake Luton's pass toward the sideline is incomplete. And here's Melissa.
Yeah, Mike, he is used to being introduced as Richard Seymour, 3-time Super Bowl champion for the New England Patriots. Now I'm going to introduce you as Hall of Famer, Richard Seymour.
It has a good ring to it.
Yeah, doesn't
thank
it?
you so much. No, certainly feels good.
What does that mean to you?
You know what? To say I'm honored doesn't begin to quantify the depth of gratitude that I have for what this really means to stand alongside some of the greats. You know, this honor is truly my legacy, and to be able to share that this weekend with so many family and friends. My kids are here, my wife, my mom, like so many people flow in town to support you. I could just go on, so you better get the mic.
Okay, all right, so let's go back in time because Bill Belichick drafted you 6th overall in 2001 out of Georgia. You were his very first round draft pick, and then the dynasty began.
Yes.
Take us back. What was it like to be part of those early years?
Well, you know what? I came in as the young guy, and I was very fortunate to be joining a veteran group, and they really taught me what it meant to be a pro. And like to come to a team that, even when you think about Robert Kraft, and when he bought the team, and that, like, he's the quarterback that had the ultimate downfield vision because he strategically placed Coach Belichick, you know, every piece of the organization that we needed to succeed. And so I'm a firm believer that leadership starts at the top. He's the visionary. Coach Belichick is a mastermind. And so for him to draft me 6th overall out of the University of Georgia,
it worked out. It worked out.
Certainly did.
Belichick, when he was asked what makes you a Hall of Famer, he said one word: everything. In fact, Belichick and Tom Brady both wrote letters endorsing you for the Hall of Fame, and Belichick said in it, we don't win those 3 Super Bowls without him, and Brady said he is the perfect Patriot. When you hear that, what goes through your mind?
Just the gratitude, the humility, because like I said, I was the young guy, and to learn under so many veterans that taught me so much, from Brewski, Vrabel, you know, you just name it, like all of those are my guys. And I feel so blessed and honored. And like I said, to be able to share that with so many, you know, like I said, this weekend really isn't about me. You know, this weekend is about so many that is, and even I'll say this, to be here at the Hall of Fame and to listen to so many of the greats that I admired growing up, and to be in the room with those guys and share the stories, and I'm just really like just sitting there like a kid, you know, in an ice cream store. So it's, you know, to say I'm honored, you know, is an understatement.
It's awe-inspiring, and we have to point out as we throw it back, congratulations to Mike. He obviously finished his career as a Raider.
Here tonight, but you mentioned the Patriot days and 2 guys who will be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. The quotes as the letters were written to the selection committee from Belichick, unquestionably key player. Don't believe we would have won the 3 championships without him. And from Tom Brady, faced him every day in practice, a menace, cornerstone of that Patriots dynasty, deserves to be recognized and is for his contributions here in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 4:55 to go. Someone ran out on the field as they get rid of him. You got a story about Seymour?
A little bit. I asked Bill Belichick about him, and he said, without question, the most coachable guy I think we ever had. You know how many sacks he had in college? One. He had 1. He ended up with 57.5 and went to the Hall of Fame. He says he's a guy that just knew that he had to pay attention, that he was willing to learn, he was willing to be coached, and the improvement that he showed during the course of his career led him to the Hall of Fame.
Jarrett Stidham came back in the game for this drive. His throw is out of bounds, incomplete, as Keelan Cole was covered. So Stidham comes back in this one after we saw Mullins for a couple of series. The former Patriot comes back in. You know, and just the thought on Seymour there, and we're talking about the Patriots and a lot of the team stuff. It was the collective. They had so many guys who were good. But now I think we're going to start to see the recognition of the individuals who were just a notch above, the guys who were truly the best of. And here's one of them honored this week.
Hey, let's throw Rodney Harrison out there as well,
sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, he was a cornerstone of all those teams, and they remind me a little bit of the Miami Dolphins team, the no-name defense that didn't get a lot of recognition individually. Eventually they finally did, but you know, this is a defense that really did carry them to those championships.
Stidham's pass to Tyron Johnson was incomplete. Johnson was working the sideline. taking a peek at it as they head off the field, looking at the big board, see if it was a catch or not. Let's look at number 1 on the sideline.
Yeah, well, that's part of the issue. I don't think there's any question at all about Tyron Johnson and his physical skills, but he just hasn't been developed as a receiver. You can imagine Devontae Adams with that same ball, he would have dragged the back foot without even blinking, right? He was sort of the master of the toe tap.
But Josh McDaniels has called a timeout here. And he's got the red challenge flag in hand just in case he decides to take a deeper look at this one. So you see Josh McDaniels with a laugh. He did throw that challenge flag for another look at this one. Tyron Johnson working the sideline. We will come back and see if this is, in fact, a catch. Looks to be. All right, Josh McDaniels' challenge was the right move. It was ruled a complete pass. Terry McCauley's with us back in the studio watching as well. He'll be with us all year. We'll hear from Terry a bit later on, but that back foot was down, so the 2 feet down for Tyron Johnson, who started last season with Jacksonville, and as we said earlier, Chris, has garnered some attention early on in the Vegas camp.
He has indeed, and my apologies to him. He did apparently get both feet down. I just learned a lesson, right, Terry? You got to look at that back foot first and see if it's still on the ground.
That's the key to this play on the sideline almost every time, Chris.
And everybody gets their replay procedures down. Word down from upstairs to the sideline, throw the challenge flag. It's part of this first preseason game for 2 new coaching staffs as well, Chris. It's operational as well. How do the things work on game day? We can talk about it from February through July, but when the clock's moving, there's an opponent out there. Now we figure out if it's going to work.
I bet you Josh couldn't wait to throw that flag. You think? I mean, you know him. Here he is in his home stadium. He played high school football. He wanted to get involved. And then it was a great opportunity. Good job by the guys upstairs to see that, right? That wasn't obvious. Except to Terry.
2nd and 9 for Jarrett Stidham, and his pass is a complete one to Zamir White, this rookie out of Georgia. And I thought you hit it well, Chris. So multitude of backs is what the Raiders might look like as this season goes, and this 4th-round draft pick might be one of those.
Well, and the question about him is going to be, is he a good enough receiver to get in the game, or is he just a 1st and 2nd down back? You think of the receiving guys that they have, that's more the Kenyon Drakes, the Brandon Boldens, the Amir Abdullah. But so far, Zamir White's doing pretty well catching the football, too.
3rd and 1 on a toss. Some blocking. Puts his shoulder down and gets the 1st down. And the Raiders sideline reacts to watching the rookie use the extra effort to move the chains.
Well, and this is why people don't make judgments off of spring ball and shorts and a T-shirt, right? Or as John Madden used to say, when they're in their underwear. Because this is football. It's 3rd and 1. You've got to put that head and shoulder down and drive for the 1st down, and that is exactly what his job is going to be on this team.
Time for Stidham, hit as he throws to Johnson. Trying to bring it in, but could not. Tyron Johnson got a hand on it, bounced it off the ground, off his knee, but couldn't pull in the big play from Stidham.
Nice job there by Stidham hanging in there, because he really took a shot at that one. You see some of the quicks that we're talking about with Johnson. He does get open and just doesn't finish it, but great job by Stidham just hanging in there and really just got ripped at the end of that one.
It was big for Stidham, too. He didn't play last year. Had back surgery, inactive once he got healthy. Keelan Cole comes around from the end and uses his speed to get to the 30-yard line. So a big run by Cole for 12, and he got hit awkwardly at the end of that play. And the Raiders athletic training staff immediately out to take a look at the veteran wide receiver who used to play for the Jaguars.
Yeah, he got hit in the helmet just as he was going to the ground.
Daniel Thomas, the safety.
Terry, that's got to be, right? Helmet-to-helmet stuff there?
It absolutely is. He lowered his helmet to make forcible contact to the runner. That should have been a 15-yard penalty for use of helmet foul.
So they look at Cole, and we'll step out for a moment. Trevor Lawrence's Jaguars saw the Raiders before. All got their look in the Hall of Fame yesterday when they arrived here in Canton. And the best news as we return here was Keelan Cole getting up, walking, exhaling, and most importantly smiling as he's going to get further medical attention on the sideline. They look at him, but it's great to see him get up and walk off after that scary hit. He did pick up the first down, and from the 30, Stidham got the defender in the air and just throws it incomplete as he got out of that tackle box and just gets it away. Chapel Russell out of Temple had the pressure.
Yeah, I think that Jacksonville's seen enough points. They're starting to bring their own blitz package out here, and it's one thing to lose a preseason game, who cares? But you want to establish something, right? You got a new coach, you want to impress the guys, you want to get after them a little bit. It's like, okay, we're not this is time to go fire a few bullets ourselves.
Drake counts to the outside for Kenyon Drake. Russell makes that tackle, a gain of 4, and that should take us down to the 2-minute warning. Beginning of the 2022 NFL season here in Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of the league. So many of the greats are enshrined and the legends are there to visit. 3rd and 7 coming up here for the Raiders. Jarrett Stidham got the start. Saw Nick Mullins for a couple of series. Now Stidham back in. And on 3rd and 7, throws complete for the first down to DeMarcus Robinson. And Chris, that's a name you mentioned earlier. 6 years in Kansas City, acquired as a free agent here by the Raiders.
Yeah, and he's done good things there, and they'll never forget him when he was playing for the Chiefs. He had a monster day, 172-yard day against this Raiders team. Well, let's go back over here to Trayvon Walker, who was the #1 overall pick for the Jags, and review what he did out here tonight. Was it an overwhelming performance? I would say no. Was it impressive that you saw some of the athleticism and he got a sack and he got a lot of attention and he was drawing chips and that sort of attention over there? Because remember, in this game, Josh Allen isn't on the other side, but they know how they're going to end up working together. There's Arden Key, who they teamed up with for a sack.
And the 14, Kenyon Drake runs inside for a yard or so. Doug Peterson's using his timeouts, trying to preserve time so he can get a little 2-minute drill practice for his offense.
Yeah, and it's one of the really key things that you want to try. You just want to see what your guys are doing. And so many times it really just comes down to, you want to see, do you have poise? Do you remember the plays? Do you remember the audibles? You know, because so much of this game is, it's going fast, right? You've got to make adjustments on the fly out there, and you want to find out who the guys are that can make those kinds of adjustments and not mentally break down.
And you can only do it so often against your guys. It's so nice to do it against somebody else and another team. That's why it's become vogue. So many teams practice against another team at some point in the preseason.
You know, it's one of the things I like playing in these early preseason games, just to get hit once. Not too hard, just to get it over with. You know what I mean? Because you really don't get that in practice.
So you just wanted to get hit once?
Yeah, sort of brushed. You know, not even a solid hit, just sort of brushed.
And then you knew you were good.
Yeah, but I did break my nose in the only time I played in a Hall of Fame game, so that was a little more than I wanted.
That's the memory you came back when you came to
Canton. 4 plays. I played 4 plays. Yeah.
3rd and 8 coming up. As we mentioned, Josh McDaniels has played on this field in high school in some of the legendary Massillon McKinley high school football games in Ohio, but he's never had the chance to coach in this game. Loving that tonight. 3rd and 8 for Stidham. He's flushed. He's got space to run for the first down and run for the touchdown. Jarrett Stidham's had a very good half in his Raider debut. Derek loves it.
Well, you got to be careful when you come with those inside stunts, as the Jags did there. There's just nobody left outside. Generally, when the outside guy goes in, the inside guy has to go out. But Jarrett Stidham, the only guy who fully knows this offense, is showing why that's important. He's had a great half.
Daniel Carlson for the extra point. And the Raiders take a 20-0 lead. Well, this is a town of great football and great football moments. And one of the greatest moments in NFL playoff history was called by one of the legends of the broadcast industry. The great catch narrated by the great voice of Vin Scully, who of course was for so long the lead voice of the game of the week in the World Series, the NBC baseball coverage, and obviously the legendary decades-long career as the voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Just kind of hit you real hard when you found out a couple of days ago that Vin passed away in Los Angeles, and Vin Scully's voice is heard in the Hall of Fame as you travel around, and they have this exhibit inside in Canton of the fantastic finishes. And
the catch.
Yep, that play. Dwight Clark. Vin called that one in the booth.
How would you describe his style? It's so unique, right? It was so conversational, but poetic almost.
No one, and I mean no one, told a story like Vin Scully. Cottrell with the return for the Jaguars down the sideline to the 27-yard line. No matter the sport, whether it was football or baseball or even golf. Vin did golf called the Masters, as a matter of fact, among the different sports he covered. And no one could tell a story, and the timing of Scully's stories, and he just reeled you in, and just a legend. And there's so many people in Los Angeles talk about how Vin Scully's voice was, is, and will always be Dodger baseball.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, deuces wild here for the Dodgers, right? I mean, he just had so many great, clever phrases.
Settle in just the start of things in the first inning.
Late arriving crowd.
We can go all night. You saw Cottrell holding his wrist as he went off, as we'll see how the Jaguars can piece together a look at a 2-minute drive. Oh, the first pass is a great start to it. Luke Farrell, a tight end, has caught a couple of balls. The 50-year pick last year out of Ohio State. Big grab on that one.
Yeah, and one of the things the Jags have to do a better job of is these swing routes, get somebody down the field, get these athletes. They really like their tight end room. They think that they're going to have a real strength. And, of course, Doug Peterson, from Philly days, he loves those tight ends.
Luton throws to Raquel Armstead with the catch to the 41-yard line. They'll keep going here with the clock running. Jaguars have 1 timeout and 50 seconds remaining. There you see under Doug Peterson what the tight end room for Philadelphia did. Burton, among others. That was Goddard, drafted late. Peterson's run there. One more time, Armstead getting to the sideline and out of bounds. And the value of that, Chris, for Trevor Lawrence, for a young quarterback, having a quarterback, head coach who thinks about that tight end room and wants to get them the ball.
Well, I think especially for Trevor Lawrence, he's going to want some easier throws, right? If you're throwing to the backs, if you're throwing to the tight ends, if you're throwing to Christian Kirk, who's a slot receiver, now the offense works more in that inside zone, so you get the ball out of your hands quicker. You set up some deeper shots to get down the field. And we haven't even talked about some of the people that they've signed. They spent more money than anybody in free agency.
Ever. They had a year. 3rd and 2. And the throw by Luton is complete. And on the run with a flag down is Jeff Cotton Jr., first-year man out of Idaho, taken off, but a penalty marker down and a Raider down as well.
Holding, number 76, offense, 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Bryce Cosby for the Raiders, the rookie out of Ball State. Defensive back was down and quickly came out to check on him. Cosby off the field because of the injury in the last 2. Timeout charge to the Raiders. Luton scrambles, flips it over the middle and incomplete. And nearly an interception. Ike Brown was coming across, almost got his hands on it and secured it. And they'll kick it away with 23 seconds to go.
Yeah, that's the reason Patrick Mahomes gets paid what he gets paid. You know, those throws aren't easy right there. Trying to be running left and throwing right. And you get so used to seeing the greats that can pull it off, you forget normal human beings. That's really hard.
This Jaguar offense, only 4 first downs and 22 plays in the first half. You don't want to make too much about it. But you want to get off to a good start. Like you said, there's so many of their big-name players not a part of this one tonight on the offensive side. Good job to pin it to the sideline by Logan Cook. 15 seconds left. The Raiders have done enough. Sure, they'll just take this into the locker room. Jacksonville will get the ball to start the second half.
Don't know how much more we'll see of Jarrett Stidham, but that was an impressive first half for him.
59. Wait, 20. Hot.
He'll hand it off to Kenyon Drake. And that will bring this first half to a close. Josh McDaniels back home in the place where he's played his high school football and off to a great start. 20-0 Raiders at the half.
He was a teacher. I mean, that's what he did. He was a teacher to all his referees. He taught them how to go about making sure that the right calls were made. Stand up, be honest, hardworking. He is what the Hall of Fame is about.
It's really a monumental weekend for the third team on the field, the officials, because Art McNally's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. First on-field official enshrined. You see the years he was an official, then the supervisor, where he really had, over those 4 different decades, a huge impact, even on the officials who are on the field tonight, and he is regarded as the father of modern officiating. We're going to bring in our rules analyst, Terry McCauley, to talk about it in a little bit, but Chris, we were down on the field before the game and talking to the officials. One nice move by the league. Every official is the most experienced, in terms of years in the NFL, official at his position here tonight. It's an honor to celebrate the impact of Art McNally.
Yeah, and Art McNally, they loved everything about him, nothing but praise, and they said he was maybe the worst post-game driver in the history of referees. So he took out a mailbox in New England. So I'm just reporting the facts here. That's all I'm doing.
Willie Johnson, the return, and bring in Terry McCauley. Terry, Art had an impact on your career as well. What can you share with us?
Absolutely, Mike. Throughout my entire career, Art was still a very formidable presence, as well as so many other officials. As we heard from Art's son, he was a tremendous teacher. I mean, when Art was with you, you stopped talking and you started listening, because in those few minutes or those few hours, you were going to learn more than you could possibly ever learn otherwise. So, Art, I know you're watching. Congratulations and thanks for everything you've done for the NFL, for football officiating, and for the game itself.
Well said, Terry. Thanks for sharing that. Mekhi Sargent on the toss to start this first half, and a gain of a couple of yards. We talk about Art McNally. We were in the Hall of Fame Tuesday night, and I spent time looking at the display honoring Art there, but the rule book, the notes that were in there, it just is a reminder of the impact that he had on generations on the field and very much off.
And the amazing thing about him is he left his phone number in the public telephone book. You could call him if you got mad with one of his calls, and he took every call. Like, his family just couldn't believe that he would sit on the phone for a half an hour and explain these rules to fans who were mad at him. By the end, they're like, okay, Art, good talking to you. See you later.
Kyle Sloter, the quarterback, he dishes it off, and Mekhi Sargent takes it across the 35 to the 36-yard line. So Sloter, if you've been watching football this spring, you've seen him. He played in the USFL with the New Orleans Breakers. As a matter of fact, he's also in the Hall of Fame. There's a USFL display there in the Hall of Fame, and Kyle Sloter's New Orleans Breakers jersey is in there.
He should be, because he played in that semifinal game, and he was a mess. He could barely walk on the field. He said, I'm 28. How many more chances I'm going to get to win a championship? I'm out here, I'm playing. And but he was a pretty interesting story. He was a quarterback and did well in high school, went off to college, and kind of got hurt a couple of times, and so they moved him to wide receiver. And then one day, the guy in front of him got hurt, and they go, okay, you're the quarterback. He goes in and throws 6 touchdown passes, rushes for another, and becomes a legend in the college game. And here he is now playing for the Jags and trying to make a football team.
And on 2nd and 9, Sloter with the delivery complete to the 42 22-yard line. That is Garrett Prince, a rookie out of UAB, with the reception. The Sloter's 28 years old in his 5th year out of Northern Colorado. You know, you get a lot of these guys who've been with multiple teams. It's the 6th team he's been on in the NFL. He's never thrown a pass in a regular season game.
Looks cool.
43, that inside throw is broken up. Incomplete. Bryce Cosby was injured in the first half. Shows up there and breaks it up. I mean, he's been in camp, he's been playing games, so he's going to be the one used to game speed as much as anyone out here tonight.
Yeah. You know, I keep thinking that Doug Peterson, I know we're not to the regular season yet, but Doug Peterson, nobody followed the analytics more than he did. And the year they won the Super Bowl, you know, analytics sometimes a 51-49 proposition.
Right.
I'll bet you he won 65% of them that season, and it really carried through it. And in the Super Bowl,
yes,
Philly special, the 4th and 4, there were a lot of different things when they knocked off the Patriots. I think we'll see more of that in Jacksonville.
Logan Cook kicked it. DJ Turner let it go into the end zone. Touchback. More Hall of Famers to hear from, including Leroy Butler, the man who gave us the Lambeau Leap. Why not a little Wisconsin jump around feel? The man who started it all. Leroy Butler coming up talking to Melissa when we come back to camp.
My grandmother, she said, you have a unique ability. You can block out negative stuff. People just say, you're never gonna make it because you're poor, and you're not real big, you can't run. I smiled all day. I'm gonna be the one to make it out of the projects.
From the Jacksonville area, so appropriate. The Jaguars are here. Leroy Butler is going into the Hall of Fame this weekend as well. Zamir White to carry for a couple of yards. Super Bowl champ, 4-time first-team All-Pro, All-Decade team of the 90s. The man of the Lambeau Leap is with Melissa.
Well, Mike, Packers Hall of Fame general manager called him the quintessential safety. He said you had no weakness. Here you are in the Hall of Fame. When did that sink in?
Lee Rimmel told me about it a long time ago when I made All-Decade. He said, one day you may make the Hall of Fame. And I started to think about it at that point. But for the most part, having great teammates really makes it a lot easier.
Inventor of one of the greatest traditions in the NFL. You told me you remember that day so clearly of the Lambeau Leap.
Yeah.
Take us back.
Well, Mike Holmgren told all defensive players never lateral the ball, but it's Reggie White, right? Reggie White laterals the ball. And here's the best celebration because you need the spans. And shout out to Robert Brooks because he made it famous because he actually named it Lambeau Leap and wrote a song about it called Jump in the Stands. So shout out to Robert Brooks.
And you said it was because you wanted to show the fans how much you loved them. All right, you grew up, you had so many challenges as a child. You had club feet, you were pigeon-toed, you were bullied, you faced poverty, but there was one person through it all that encouraged you, told you you could be anything you wanted to be. Your mom, Eunice.
Yeah.
Just talk about what that meant to you.
I don't think people realize if you're a parent with special needs kids, you have to help them with their dreams. And my mom told me I could play in the NFL. I was 8 years old. So my uncle, Charles Durham, he also told me when people bully you, ignore them and just continue to do the dream because no one's going to believe it because you come from poverty. So it really worked out.
You told me you weren't that athletic, but coaches loved you at that point because you had a great smile. Well, we know your mom's looking down on you tonight, and you told me you started writing your Hall of Fame acceptance speech 13 years ago in 2009 with your mom.
Yeah.
It was her advice, you wanted to do it?
Yeah, I said, Mom, that's kind of narcissistic to write a speech and I haven't even been a semi-finalist yet. She said, I don't even know what that means, but let's be prepared. You want to be prepared. You want to thank people in groups. I want you to have the shortest speech in NFL history. And we kind of shaped it. 90% of my speech you hear on Saturday is from my mom.
And take us back to 1990 draft night because you have an incredible story. You had one phone in the house.
Yes.
Your sister was on the phone, so the line was busy.
Yeah, my sister Vicky, shout out to my sister. But she was on the phone, the line was busy, we had a rotary phone. And when Bob Harlan and Lee Rimmel called me, I thought God was talking to me. Because at the time, I was a huge Cowboy fan. And I wanted them to draft me, but they didn't. But the Packers saved my life and my career, giving an African-American in the
inner city and the projects, the entire neighborhood, Melissa, went crazy, and they're still going crazy now.
But the 49ers called and you missed it.
Yes. They tried to call back, but the line was busy, so I could have been a 49er. I mean, hey.
Well, it all worked out all right.
Yes.
All right, and the guys are going to love this, Mike and Chris. From a Hall of Fame player to a Hall of Fame chef, you have a cookbook coming out. And I said, you guys, are you really a good cook? He goes, what do you think? What'd you tell me to that?
I'm an executive home chef, okay? I don't grill, I'm in the kitchen, okay? So me and my 6 daughters are working on a cookbook right now. Leroy Butler is leaping into your kitchen again, but this time he's bringing his kids.
And as we throw it back, your best dish.
Mac and cheese, this to America. I make the best mac and cheese ever, okay? Don't even sweat it. Don't even stay out my mentions. It's all me.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate it.
He's the greatest. I'm telling you, as a player, he was the greatest. Now he's the greatest. There we go, mac and cheese.
That's not it. That's not it.
That is clear. That's what they feed us.
That's leftover from the booth halftime mac and cheese. That is not.
Oh my gosh, I have so many great memories of interviewing Leroy Butler. And you know who loved him? Howie Long. Howie Long thought that he was one of the best pass rushers in the league. And I say, yeah, he's one of the best pass rushing guys on the outside. And I said, no. Like, I know pass rush moves. This guy has some of the best pass rush moves in all the league. And he was always the one that told Brett Favre, and we should have asked him this thing. Brett Favre, he's like, Brett, I don't care if you throw an interception. We'll get the ball back. That's our job. You go out there and sling it. Well, I think Brett took it a little too seriously. He was willing to,
I was going to say, he found the right guy to tell that to.
Throw it around a little bit, yeah.
Kyle Sloter's pass is incomplete here on 2nd and 4. Bring up 3rd down. He had 38 picks and 20.5 sacks. Just a terrific story. I love the story of what he was able to overcome. He mentioned Lee Remmel there a couple of times. He was a writer and then a longtime public relations person, then moved into historian status, the team historian for the Green Bay Packers. Lee passed away, but they named the press box at Lambeau after Lee Remmel. His presence in that Packer organization as a writer and then in public relations was so vital.
They didn't make Leroy Butler the historian.
That's right. Sloter is sacked. A good pressure from the Raiders inside. Kendall Vickers getting in there for the sack. 3rd-year man out of Tennessee. Doing a Raider a couple of years now.
Now the Jags can kind of get it going a little bit, and then it just sort of stops. New system. They're going to go. I can't wait to watch this team play. We're not seeing the guy's going to make this whole thing work, right? There we go. There's Max Crosby over there celebrating with his teammate.
Speaking of can't wait to see.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Max Crosby on one end, Chandler Jones on the other.
It's going to be insane. They've got linebackers that can fly. They've got a rock-solid secondary back there now.
Chandler Jones did not make the trip here. Logan Cook kicked it away, tried to get over by the sideline. It dies there at the 4-yard line. So we'll have a long field for the Raiders halfway through the quarter. Oh, midseason form, Wendell Stevenson audio. That's the OJs who went to high school right here in Canton.
You know, I'm an emotional guy. I can't help it. And I think about the people. You build relationships that are lifelong. What I've had players say to me,
it was always more about a win or a loss. It was about how we felt as a team and an organization. I cherish that as much as I do a win.
Philadelphia was struggling. Dick Vermeil came in, got that team to the Super Bowl. The Rams were struggling 8 years out of winning season. Dick Vermeil gets there a couple years later to Super Bowl, and they win it all. Dick Vermeil going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in this induction class of 2022. The Super Bowl champ standing by with Melissa.
Mike, we know he has never shied away from showing his emotions. Coach, now you are joining this exclusive fraternity of coaches being enshrined here in Canton.
Yeah, very humbling, believe me.
How emotional is
the
it?
longer I've been here, just a few days, the more humble I become. And being around the guys that are true Hall of Famers, I sometimes question whether I belong standing next to them, but it's a great feeling.
You were the head coach of 3 different teams. You went in and turned organizations around. There are 10 new NFL head coaches for teams this year. I want to hear from the expert. What is the key? What did you know? How did you have that success?
Well, I think it's a lot more difficult today because they don't get as much time to work with kids individually and collectively on the fundamental side of the game and everything else. Practice is shorter, training camp shorter, contact work is shorter. And I think it makes it a little tougher for the younger coaches to come in and develop their own what they call culture, and to synchronize the thinking of a building. It's tougher today. I really think it is tougher. In the old days, if we weren't good enough, we could stay on the field and work long enough to get better. There's no correlation between working less and getting better. Never has been, never will be. But today, it's tougher on those new coaches.
And your Super Bowl winning quarterback, Kurt Warner, told me that you said to him you saw some of yourself in him, that underdog mentality. What is it about you that you connect with that underdog?
Well, I came out of high school coaching and then junior college coaching, then college coaching. I wasn't an all-pro that got a coaching job or was on a great staff and elevated to a coaching position. I sort of just took the opportunities as they were presented to me. Fortunately, a lot of people helped me. And I, free agents the same way. They show up and they do the best they can, and all of a sudden they're playing well. Like London Fletcher. Everyone talks about Kurt Warner. London Fletcher played 16 years, came in, as a rookie, free agent with Kurt Warner. There are people out like that. A coach's job is to try to find as many of those guys as you can.
Well, and you did that, and you ended up in not one but two movies that were portrayed. Okay, we need to talk about this because we have Greg Kinnear played you in Invincible, and then Dennis Quaid in American Underdog. Who did it better?
Well, I like the fact that Dennis Quaid actually used some of my conversation with Kurt, word for word. It added credibility to the movie. But both movies were very entertaining. Both movies were good for young people to see because not all the facts in the movies were true, but the stories are true. And what they did was great. And it's great to look up to people that do wonderful things.
Not many people can say they were portrayed in two movies. Congratulations, and you'll get to star on your own as yourself on Saturday night in your gold jacket.
Thank you. I'm going to have a tough time with it, believe me.
Oh, we know, but it's great. It's great.
Thank
Congratulations.
You very much. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you.
And a lot of folks look up to him, too.
No better guy in the history of the league. No better guy than that guy. But, all right, he's a nice guy, and we're going to start with that. He killed people in practice. They practiced harder when he got to a new team than anybody maybe in the history of the league. The 3.5-hour practices were not unheard of with him, and it was always the third year that was the charm.
Yep.
The third year he was taking teams to the Super Bowl, but he's a sweetheart of a guy, but he was a grinder, and I think it took its toll on him personally too. He retired after a fairly short stint there initially. Another 12, 13 years later, he comes back and takes the Rams on to the World Championship.
He was away for a while, a terrific broadcasting career going. Jumps back in and does that. Mekhi Sargent with the run there for the first down here. The Raiders win 3 and out. Under 5 minutes left here in this third quarter. Jags trying to get on the board. This is what you're talking about, Chris. Eagles, that third season, get the winning season. Rams, that memorable Super Bowl against Tennessee. And then the Chiefs got them there to the postseason after their long drought. No coincidence.
No, and maybe the most remarkable story, and we talk about Kurt Warner all the time, but I remember thinking about it from Dick Vermeil's standpoint. Trent Green goes down. He doesn't have a quarterback. Kurt Warner came out of the grocery store. We all know the story at this point, right? And he believed, and he went to Kurt Warner, and you look him in the eye and he's a salesman, right? And he convinced Kurt Warner, and Kurt Warner convinced him that this was going to work. And the hug that those guys had when Kurt was telling him that you're in the Hall of Fame matched the one they had on the field when they won the Super Bowl together. It's what the Hall of Fame weekend is all about. Those special relationships and special moments.
Sargent, the second year back out of Iowa, he's run hard here. In this second half, he gets a first down. Vermeil was, of course, a coach in Philadelphia. Doug Peterson was the coach in Philadelphia before coming here to Jacksonville. And how do you get that culture that Vermeil was talking about restarted? You talked about it earlier, Chris, developing the trust in the head coaching position that these Jaguar players needed and bringing in players. And, boy, they have brought in a lot of folks this year. many of whom we're not seeing tonight. But Jacksonville spent as much as any team in an offseason.
Sure did.
To try to turn this baby around.
And I'm telling you, we haven't seen any of them. You know, when you turn on the television on opening day and you see Christian Kirk, who is going to be the deep threat they didn't have a season ago, you see Evan Ingram and an athletic tight end.
Personal foul, chop block, number 77, offense, 15-yard penalty, repeat.
Well, here it is, Chris. The record amount they spent. Team that plays at a stadium named after a bank dipped into the reserves. Christian Kirk, Brandon Sheriff, the guard from Washington, Zay Jones, Raider fans know him, 3 years, $24 million. Oluokun, the outstanding tackling machine in Atlanta. Darius Williams in the corner. Fatukasi, who was in the inside for the Jets. $175 million guaranteed. That's an NFL record for a single offseason. Sometimes you can spend and it doesn't work, but you can also spend when you have young stars on the rookie contracts, especially the quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence.
Well, and Trevor Lawrence is the key. Doesn't matter what all that other stuff is. Trevor Lawrence has to be what everybody thought he was, which is a generational quarterback. You know, he has to be the Peyton Manning, the Tom Brady. And if he is, he has enough pieces around him. And we saw with Joe Burrow last year. When you get those guys on that rookie contract, there is a window of an opportunity for a great young quarterback because it allowed them to spend all that dough because they had a quarterback on a rookie contract that is going to give this franchise a chance to get good in a hurry. Now, admittedly, it hasn't been sharp out here tonight, but it hasn't been with the guys who are going to be playing on opening day.
2nd and 20, and that is out of the hands of Jeff Cotton Jr., the first-year player out of Idaho. So you talk about that year 2 jump. These are the year 1 numbers for Peyton Manning in '98 and Joe Burrow a couple of seasons ago and Trevor last year. All similar, not great season. Here's the year 2 turnaround for Peyton. Burrow, we know, to the Super Bowl. And what's it going to be for Trevor? What was your impression when we talked to Trevor the other day?
You know, I thought he was open and honest. It was a tough year, not only by himself, but for the whole organization. There was a lot of internal strife that went along with everything. But the biggest problem I thought they had, Mike, and going back and being able to watch them during the course of the offseason, because we didn't do one of their games, is just the fact that they really didn't have that weapon. And now we've got another injury down here. We'll cover some more of that in a minute.
Yeah, it's Kendall Vickers. I think he got hit by his own player. They were coming in for the hit on the running back, Mekhi Sargent. 2:28 left here in this third quarter. That's the safety coming in. Got his own teammate Vickers, who's being looked at. For Memphis next week. This is Elliott Fry, 4 days in camp, and he knocks it through for the first points of the season for the Jaguars. Fry and Ryan Santoso battle for the kicking job, and Fry knocks it through from 46 yards. The first time in 2022, the Jaguars are on the board. 20-3, Las Vegas. Melissa.
Well, Mike, I've got 2 of the Jacksonville Jaguars with me, Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, and NFL fans have had to wait a year to see you guys play together. And after the numbers you put up in college, I'll start with you. What can they expect from the 2 of you?
Yeah, obviously I miss playing beside this guy. We had a couple great years together at Clemson, and really just excited for him to be back, add an explosive element to our offense, and really just more consistency, I think, from myself individually and just as an offense, as a team in general. I think we're going to be a lot more consistent, put a lot more points on the board.
All right, and we want to ask you, because you suffered that Liz Frank foot injury in the preseason, missed the entire year, had to have surgery. How are you feeling? What was the recovery like?
I'm feeling good. I mean, the recovery, it was long and hard. I feel like I had to fall in love with the mundane and just become one with myself, and I did that over the process, and now I'm back, so I'm just really ready to get back out here.
And Trevor told us the other day he thinks that you, Travis, are in better shape now than you were your last year at Clemson in 2020. What do you think?
I feel the same. I feel like I've been working as hard as I could to get back here, and I just show the world what I'm about and who I am as a player, and I feel like I get to put that on display soon.
And so you got this guy back. You have a bunch of other guys back from injury, a lot of off-season additions. You told us the other day that you feel like you can let it rip this season with all these new guys. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to making plays all over the field. We got a bunch of guys that are, like I said before, playmakers, a lot of speed, but also really smart guys that are just really in tune with our offense, adjustments, all these different things. And it's just been fun to work with everybody. And you have those conversations through camp, and you get like on the same page more and more every day, and it's been great. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for this new journey, start fresh this season, and really just see what we can build here.
Yeah, I know Jaguar fans are excited to hear that. All right, guys. Well, we can't wait to see what you do together.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you. Raiders pick up their first down of this third quarter as Nick Mullins at the helm at quarterback. Chris, when I hear Trevor talking to Melissa and Travis Etienne, who we didn't have all year, I think of the last game they played last year. They played Indianapolis. That was the guaranteed game, Week 18. Well, the Colts will win, and you figure out all the tiebreakers from there.
They're going to make the playoffs.
The whole deal.
It was the layup, right?
Yes.
It was all you have to do is go down and beat this Jacksonville team. And not only did Jacksonville win, they won big. For Frank Reich and company, that had to just be an awful feeling that lasted until training camp this year.
And caused some changes, a little angst going into the season, a little bit on edge with some pressure on the Colts. But it told me a lot about Trevor. He got beat up. He had to go to the microphone and answer the stuff with Urban Meyer as the coach and not coming back on the plane and everything else that happened during the year. Trevor had to do that, but he leaned on his Clemson experience because he was the face of college football for 3 years, knew how to take all the good stuff and applied those lessons to dealing with the bad stuff in public. And I think he came through that first year better than a lot of others would. Mullins, deep shot downfield, and it's broken up. Tried to get it to Jordan Veazey, the second-year receiver out of Cal. And Benji Franklin back there from Tarleton State.
Had a chance, right? That one looked like it might have a little legs to it, but leave it a little too far in the middle of the field as a receiver. Anytime you find yourself inside that number, you can expect a headache, and good play defensively there. But it really is, I'm so anxious to watch those two guys play together. And Travis Etienne is a little bit of a Leroy Butler character. We didn't see a lot of it there, but he's got some energy, and he will wear out Trevor Lawrence in the huddle. And so I think that both of them will feed off the energy that they create for each other.
Nice return here with the sideline for Willie Johnson. Johnson turns the corner. Johnson down the sideline and going to take it all the way for a Jaguar touchdown. But there is a penalty marker down back where he turned the corner, and all the Raiders on the sideline say, "You're coming back."
During the return, holding, number 35 return team, 10-yard penalty. That is the end of the third quarter.
An 88-yard return negated by the flag. After 3, Vegas 20, Jacksonville 3. And we'll have more from the Pro Football Hall of Fame after these messages.
Yeah, Mike, we took a look at it, but definitely a foul. See, anytime the word Cole is completely on the left shoulder, then that would be a foul.
That's good.
If it's right behind him, then that's probably good.
That's where it's supposed to be. I like that. The big hit by Farley's going to bring a flag, and Matthias Farley, former Notre Dame player, who signed right before camp opened for the Raiders, with a big hit out in the flat, penalty marker thrown from the side. Nathan Cottrill was the running back.
Yeah, going to get
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 49 defense. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. Automatic. First down.
Okay, Matthias is like a family friend. I'm just going to confess here, right? Played with my son Austin at Notre Dame, and we did a game of his once with the Colts, and I go down and I see him on the field. How you doing? The whole thing.
Right.
And I said, Matthias, will you do something in the game so I can say your name? Will you just accomplish something? He made one of the great interceptions I've ever seen in my life. And you could see him almost looking up in the booth like, anything else you want now? I knew he was going to do something in this game. I just didn't know it was going to be that.
the lowering the head penalty that they'll be watching for closely. At the end of the quarter, Melissa spoke with Doug Peterson.
Doug, what positives do you take out of the game so far?
Well, I think our defense has really kind of kept us in this game. Offensively, we've just been shooting ourselves in the foot. We've had too many, we had the turnovers. We've had a couple big penalties here in the third quarter. We just had a penalty on a potential punt return for a touchdown. So we just got to eliminate the mistakes.
You're back on the sidelines after taking a year off. Does it feel like you ever left?
It feels good. It feels like I've been here the whole time. I'm enjoying myself tonight. It's great to be around the fans again. Just looking forward to this opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Chris, it's interesting. You think about Mike McCarthy when he left Green Bay before going to Dallas. Mike spent that year kind of analyzing everything that was going on in the NFL. Doug Peterson, different story. A lot of family time, but also didn't run to the TV at noon Central every Sunday to watch every game that was going on in the league.
No, I think he admittedly wanted a little time off, and he had a lot of things going on. Unfortunately, he lost his brother, but he also had a wedding, a grandbaby during that same time, and so a lot of things. But when he came back to the game, you could tell that he was ready.
Yeah.
And his wife was ready, and the family was ready. They're football people, and Doug is sort of the perfect personality here to come back into Jacksonville and just bring that family back together again.
Flag thrown here on the coverage. Slaughter's pass over the middle.
Number 44, defense, automatic first down.
It was intended for Willie Johnson, so that'll keep this drive going for Jacksonville. Yeah, became a grandfather. One of his kids got married. You mentioned he lost his brother to cancer. But the recharge, it just seemed around Thanksgiving time when the rumors start coming up. What's going on around the league? Who's going to be available? What teams are going to open up? This was available, and it was a really good fit for him. And you said it. We talked to his wife as we were heading down to the field before. It seems like all of them are ready, and they feel really good about the connection with the team from Duval County.
I mean, I knew once he interviewed in Jacksonville, he's going to get the job. How do you not take the guy who won the Super Bowl 3 years before he had one bad year? And, who cares?
No golf time now, right?
No.
Season's underway.
That's done.
Slaughter on the run, throwing across the field. It's always dangerous, and it's incomplete. Sneaking into Lawan Winningham out of Central Arkansas.
But I can't wait to watch him play. I can't wait to watch him play. I think they have a lot of things figured out. They re-signed Cam Robinson, their left tackle. They go out and get Brandon Scherf, one of the best guards. Didn't give up a sack all year last year. They draft this Luke Fortner, who they kind of found, I think, to some extent, because they were watching so much Georgia tape and Trayvon Walker. Well, when Kentucky played against Georgia, they're like, who's this center? This guy's pretty good. And so there's just a lot there right now for Jacksonville. We just haven't seen it.
Turn the job over to the third-round pick. That pass was complete, but shy of the first down as Winningham held on to the Slaughter pass that time. That'll be fourth down and short. Farley with the hit on that one.
It was a big hit, all right.
But with the helmet out of the way that time with the shoulder. We talked about that as a rule change last year. As the season starts, the same rules you saw last year in the regular season apply again. There was no timeout taken here by the Raiders. No rules changes for the regular season this year. There are always points of emphasis, points that the officials will be watching, maybe officiating slightly differently, but the rules are the same now. In the playoffs, the overtime rule has changed so each team gets a possession. The result of the Buffalo-Kansas City epic playoff game last year.
Have you ever seen a playoff series like last year?
The whole thing.
I mean, after the first weekend, the Super Bowl was probably the worst game from the standpoint if it didn't end on the last play, basically, and it almost did. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And the Kansas City-Buffalo game is one we're all still shaking our head about.
And in Buffalo, they're still talking about it, and they know that they have the team to get back there, but it's a long road to get back to the point where they were just a few seconds away from the championship game. Botch snap here, scooped up by the running back, and that is not how you want to convert 4th and 1. So the Raiders will take over on down. Joyce, preseason. That's the way you'll start your Sunday nights for 18 weeks in a row. That's Chase Garbers at quarterback. And the rookie free agent out of Cal completes it to Jordan Vesey, his former Golden Bear teammate. Check this flag.
You mentioned Al Michel.
Illegal formation offense. Number 18 covered up another eligible receiver. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Here's the offensive line of the Raiders. So much a question mark, right? Not tonight. Look at this protection. Plenty of time, plenty of room to step up. You think all the years with Tom Brady, he didn't move much off of that spot right there, and because he didn't have to. But Josh McDaniels, almost everything he does is centered around protection first. And if the Raiders and Derek Carr and Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and all those guys get that kind of time, teams in the West are going to have a problem. It's impressive. I mean, you could see right now already that these guys are getting it. They're getting it.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying they're going to be great, but they're getting it. They're starting. They've got a plan now for protection.
And all of what you just showed without Colton Miller, who's their best offensive lineman, their left tackle.
No question. They have to get the right tackle position figured out. There are probably 4 people over there that are very much in the mix for that. But once they get that one figured out, I think it'll either be Brandon Parker, Alex Leatherwood, Jermaine Illuminor, or the rookie Thayer Munford. But those guys are also flexible. We've seen Leatherwood come in. He played guard. Illuminor, we know he can play guard as well. So this is a football team that and one of the big things that is, I look at it, the fact that Lester Cotton is playing the right guard position at the level he is sort of setting them up now to be able to help at the right tackle position if they need it, a chip, a tight end, whatever it might be. But this is a much better looking pass protecting team.
3rd and 9, and the underneath throw. This is 3 times that Garbers has gone to the guy he knows best, Jordan Vesey, both out of Cal, and a first down for the Raiders at the 31-yard line. So you got me feeling good about the Raiders.
Yeah.
You get me all excited. This would be a great team. Oh, by the way, you're in the West.
That's it.
You're in the West. Let me just remind you, this guy's won and hosted the AFC Championship game 4 straight years in Kansas City. Mahomes, Nathaniel Hackett, the former Jags offensive coordinator, and Russell Wilson together in Denver, where they really needed to add a quarterback as Austin Walter carries there. And then obviously you have the Chargers, and we know what Justin Herbert does on the offensive side. We've added those guys on the defensive side of the ball, plus these additions in Vegas. AFC West, sensational games when those 2 teams in those divisions meet up all year.
All right, but let's think about what happened a season ago, right? The Cincinnati Bengals come out as a 4 seed. They go to the Super Bowl.
Out of the tough division in the AFC, the North.
The tough division, the North. In the NFC, you have 2 teams out of the NFC West, San Francisco and LA, that play for the right to go to the Super Bowl, a 4 seed and a 6 seed.
And so, Arizona was great in that division too.
No question.
Early part of the year.
So none of those teams got the number 1 seed. It wasn't an easy schedule. But by the time you slam your way through those kinds of games inside your own division, you come out of it battle-tested and ready for playoff football. And I think that's what we're going to see again, that team that comes out of the West is going to be the team to beat.
3rd and 6, Austin Walter in his 3rd year out of Rice got back up. A couple shy of the first down. We'll see what Josh McDaniels does here on 4th down. See another snap with Garbers at quarterback. So that's interesting. It used to be the thought of a brutal division might beat you up so much that you don't have anything left. But you are on the other side of that now,
Completely.
where it toughens you for the postseason.
I mean, let's think about the 2 teams that were the number 1 seeds last year. They both got knocked out in the first round, and arguably they had the easier of the division.
Chase Garbers, 4th down, slings it, good-looking throw, complete. Jesper Horsted, the tight end from Princeton, who was a Bear in Chicago the first 3 years of his NFL career. First down for the Raiders.
Hey, he's a Bear out here too, man. Chase Garber is getting it done. 4-year starter at Cal, and he's just hanging in here. Going to hit him with the crossing route here across the field. And this is what it takes. Hang in there. Look at it. He had somebody falling at his feet, but his eyes never came down. Make the little sidearm flip. Really a pretty play.
34 starts in his 5 years for Garbers at Cal. The pitch there, and Austin Walter finds his way to the end zone. Quarterback, offensive lineman, running backs. Seems whichever new group comes in, they are performing well for the Raiders.
And a plan.
Yeah.
You know, a plan. You can see this is, regardless of who's in the game, the plan, the scheme, the running game plan, the protections. It's way too early to draw any conclusions. way. But if you had to say, what would you like to have seen out of the Raiders on opening night in this game, this is it.
Extra point added by Daniel Carlson. Austin Walter ran a touchdown in as a Jet last year, as a preseason one as a Las Vegas Raider here in Canton. So we see those busts of the Hall of Famers unveiled on Saturday. This is the process, the creation. Look at Dick Vermeil studying very carefully. Chris, we walked through there a couple of days ago, and you look at guys and you go, wow, that really looks like the man we knew as a Hall of Fame player.
I didn't think that I would be overwhelmed by walking through that hall with the busts. It's lit so brilliantly, and the work is so amazing. I understood what John Madden said when he was talking about, go ahead.
Oh, remember what he said? Here's what he said.
I believe that the busts talk to each other. And I can't wait for that conversation. I really can't. To Vince LaMarche, to Newt Rockne, to Reggie, to Walter Payton, to the guys that you want to say, to all my players, my ex-players, we'll be there forever and ever and ever.
John Madden, when he was inducted in 2006, and Reggie White's bust is right behind John. So if those busts talk, Reggie's right behind him saying, you tell him, Coach. You tell him. You're right.
Just like that, too.
Nathan Cottrill is the running back. Kyle Sloter, the quarterback, again here for the Jaguars. That pass is broken up. So the players, the coaches, the contributors, but there's also every year an honor for a member of radio and television for their excellence in the league. You see some of the big names, Al's name, John's name, Roone Arledge. Howard Katz is the winner of the Pete Rozelle Award this year. A lengthy and great career as a television executive at ABC. Dennis Miller there, part of the Monday night group as well. And then Howard came to the National Football League. That's the way they used to do the schedule. Now Howard, in addition to his role as vice president in charge of broadcasting, is also in charge of putting together the schedule with a great team that does that every year. He has been a friend to so many of us in the industry over many, many years, and it's so great to see him honored for his decades of service to the National Football League, and it's great to have Howard up here in the booth. Congratulations, Pete Rozelle Award winner. Your name's going to be in that hall forever. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Although I've always wanted to be the lead into the local news.
We waited.
Tonight's your night. Get to accomplish that tonight.
We waited a long time to wear your butt out on national television. I'm just saying, I don't know how much you spent on this linen shirt here, but it had to quadruple the value of your wardrobe coming out.
Well, you know me way too well. Way too well.
His Sloter pass is incomplete. I'm going to get to your TV stuff first, and then we'll talk about the schedule. We heard John Madden there, and you worked with John, you worked with the Monday Night, you worked with me at ESPN over the years. What have you seen as the connection, the special connection of television and the National Football League as it's grown?
This game was made for television. It is just a perfect combination of elements. The passion of the game, the ability to capture it all, the cadence of the game, it's all just so perfect. And the NFL has really benefited by the right leadership as coverage is expanded. It's a perfect marriage, and I've been privileged to kind of be part of it for a long time. I mean, when you and I met almost 30 years ago at ESPN, who would have thought that the two of us would be sitting here doing this interview tonight?
That's exactly right.
I mean,
it's the power of the NFL. It really is.
Well, you knew you'd be up here with us, and I was just wondering, is that why we got the Bills-Rams on opening day? Because otherwise, there's no way. You're giving that to the Monday night crew. Yeah, no, you're Fox. That's the way you do it.
We try to make sure all of our partners
Stop
come
it.
away
I've
with
heard this
something.
speech too many times.
All the partners are happy. All the owners are happy, right? All the requests you get. Can you tell us about the schedule? Because this used to be truly a hands-on endeavor. This was the old school way. This goes back to Val Pinchbeck, right? When he was starting to do the scheduling for the league?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really blessed by having a great team led by Michael North that we work together to put the schedule together. And it's a great challenge. I mean, there's over 700 trillion possible schedules every year, and trying to find the right needle in the right haystack. But it's just an interesting process, and it's not something that you can do lightly, because there's so many constituents that have a role in this. You got to make sure that what you do is fair and equitable across all 32 teams, and at the same time, you need to make sure that we treat all of our television partners well and deliver the best product to the fans and put games in windows where they're going to be most widely seen.
So what happened when you had to switch to the computer for the first time? Who was it that came in on the white horse and saved you? Who was it?
Well, they started using computers before I got there, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I mean...
Let me help you out there.
He's the TV guy,
Val used to do it. Mike North loves to tell the story. I mean, Val used to do it, and he'd sit there and eat pistachio nuts, and every once in a while he'd put something up on the board. And the reality was they started building the schedule from week 1, and the first couple of weeks would be great, and then they just had to finish the schedule. And now it's a combination of art and science, right? We put games in that we want to see in certain places, and then let the computer solve around that. And every day we come in and see what the computer spit out. What do we like? What do we don't like? What don't we want to see again? What do we want to see in that spot as we go through the process? We do the same thing every day from early February until we finish in May. I mean, that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But that's exactly what we do. And at some point you say, I think this is playable.
And it's usually right. And it plays out that way. Flex and all the other things, new windows and all that. And it seems like everything that the league touches turns to gold. Well, your wife Janet's one of the best people. So are you. It's been a pleasure. It was great having you as a boss. It's great working with you here. Couldn't be happier for you. Congratulations.
Thank you it's so much. A people game, right? I mean, and over the years, we get to meet everybody. We get to hang out with a lot of people. But this dude right here, we've had more laughs, more fun, more entertainment. He takes jokes very well because he hears a lot of different things. But he has been the cornerstone of the NFL and the relationship with the networks for a long time. And dude, I say congratulations to you.
Thanks, man. Thanks, appreciate it.
As good a boss as I ever had. Tied with the bosses I currently have.
I was going to say, you better suck up.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you honored at the dinner tomorrow night. Here's a first down, a terrific run up the sideline for Nathan Cottrill of the Jaguars. He's been busy and seeing a lot of action. He turned his ankle a little bit, but he's going to hop back in there. Good gain of 27 yards.
It is amazing, isn't it, Mike? All the different people that we've met over the years, and now they're going in the Hall of Fame, and you see them when they're kids, and they come out, and I love this way to start the NFL season. I always love coming here. I kind of liked it when I actually got to hear the speeches the night before, but hey, everything's a little bit different.
Let's go, Rick.
But the stadium keeps improving, and the presentation. They used to do it on the steps, in front of the Hall of Fame.
Here a bunch of years out in the parking lot, hosting the show on the steps. Raquel Armstead couldn't hang on to that. Melissa has caught up with a very familiar face to Raider fans.
Yes, well, I have Derek Carr here now. I did have Devontae Adams, but he's signing. He's very popular with the crowd. He's back. All right. And these guys are back together. Put up incredible numbers in college. You said you guys have dreamed about this. It's a gift. What is it like to be reunited?
Well, it's awesome. You know, we've always stayed close, throughout our, obviously, NFL career, and we trained together until I moved to Las Vegas and all that. So being able to play together now, and we're all the work was going towards the same cause is pretty cool.
Yeah, and Coach McDaniel said it takes you guys about 5 seconds to communicate. And a lot of people didn't know that you trained together in the offseason for 6 or 7 years. What are the two of you capable of?
As much as, the work that we put in allows. I mean, at this point, I think it's established, that we're both confident players with, a lot of ability. But at this point, just got to keep putting in the work and stacking the days. It's not just going to happen because we dreamt of it or, any of that cute stuff. So at the end of the day, just keep stacking days and see what happens.
Talking about cute stuff, we can't go any further. I understand Davante said that you owe him a car. Is that right?
I do. I do owe him a car, and I have a couple in my garage that I've offered multiple times, which wouldn't cost me anything. So I think that I need to buy him one.
Wait, what kind of car do you want?
Look, I'm
probably one of the ones in my garage.
But I think the quote from him was, I would even buy him a car if he decides to come. So, I mean, buying a car and giving a car are different, but, beggars can't be choosers.
All right, well, you did come, and you said it was very hard to leave Green Bay. It's the longest you've been on a team. But we have to take a look at this because we have jerseys. We've got pictures of you in Raiders jerseys growing up. Tell us about these. Oh, you can see them right here.
Yeah. That was, I think, 3rd grade yearbook. I was in a hospital visiting somebody. I don't even remember how old that one is. But Tim Brown, I got my Seawood jersey. So been manifesting this thing for a while. So it's kind of good to see everything kind of come to fruition.
You grew up a Raiders fan?
I did. Whole family Raiders fans. Even throughout my whole tenure in Green Bay, my family still had a full Raiders den down there. Tim Brown, I mean, all the greats, like live memorabilia. So, I've kind of had it in my face growing up the whole time. So, like I said, it's a pretty good feeling to be able to be here now.
All right, and your brother David was texting me during that lightning delay and said that you told him it was lit in the locker room. You guys were firing up all the young guys. Just talk about this team and what you're excited about.
Well, we're very competitive. Practice is super competitive. We've got a lot of really good dudes on this team that work really hard. And, when your best players are the hardest workers, it helps tell the whole rest of the team that this is the standard. And so to see that every day, I just felt that these guys, the young guys, would come out and play really hard, and they've played some really good football. So it's been fun to watch, especially for us. Going into our 9th year, watching these young guys play, we want to do anything we can to, help find some guys that can help us win, and they're showing that they can do that.
All right, guys, awesome. Can't wait to see what you do this season.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
Guys.
Great connection, those guys. It's great to see. Now think about it. Maybe the best receiver in the league, or as good as any, in Davante Adams. Here he is wearing a Cliff Branch T-shirt before the game. Just thinking of the Raider Hall of Fame receiver who's going to be inducted posthumously here this weekend. But you're at the top of your game, and you get your best pal from college, the guy who threw you the ball, flag down here, in Derek Carr. You go to a team that's good. You go to a team you rooted for as a kid. You got all this money and this long deal. It's the perfect scenario.
Pass interference. Number 46. Defense. Automatic. First down.
Ike Brown called on the flag.
All right, first a football point. Who are you going to cover on this team?
I know.
It's a problem.
3rd down?
I think this group of 3 key receivers with Hunter Renfrow over 1,000 yards, with Darren Waller, a phenomenal big target tight end, and Davante Adams, that's a problem. You have to figure it out. And Josh Jacobs has been a tremendous threat as a receiver coming out of the backfield. So, yeah, we've got some great pass rushers in that AFC West division, but there are going to be some issues trying to cover the 3 of those guys. And then the question comes out exactly who is going to be those 4th and 5th receivers, and they have some good options with that as well. Although Davante did let on that he has the classic footage of all time. Because these guys are both like phenomenal athletes, and so they have like slam dunk competitions. And apparently Devontae did one between his legs, double loop around, whatever it was.
Sure.
And Derek said, I got that. And he goes, no, you don't. He goes, don't do that. And he goes, no, I got this. He tries to do it, gets caught on the net or something, flips backwards, dead flat on the floor, and the footage is out there. And so our mission,
it's not out there. It's on Devontae's phone.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And so our mission this year is to get that. Can we do that?
Devontae, those guys are too tight. He's not giving that up.
Hey, wide receivers and quarterbacks get mad at each other during the year.
Slaughter's throw is a touchdown. Nathan Cottrell getting it. He has been busy throughout this game. And the third-year man out of Georgia Tech reels in the pass from Slaughter for the first Jaguars touchdown of this preseason.
Well, there you go. Honestly, I'm happy for Slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know how much football this guy has played in pain this year. I love the fact that he got a touchdown pass. I really do. He's one of those guys that lived the dream. And this fourth quarter of the Hall of Fame game is all about dreamers. And those dreamers are playing as hard as they have ever played football in their entire lives.
He played good in the fourth quarter here, the second half. Maybe you get a few more snaps in the next game. And then who knows, right? Try the inside run. And Nathan will take it in for the two-point conversion as well to go with the touchdown.
Make it a two-score game. Here we go.
27-11. This is a Raiders home game, so the flame was lit before the game like you have at Allegiant Stadium out in Las Vegas, and it reminds us of Raiders greats, including one going in the Hall this weekend.
As soon as he get out on the field, he say, Coach, I know I can take my man. And the coach would say, Clifford, we just got out here. You don't even know who your man is. He said, well, whoever it is, he can't outrun me. He was confident in what he could do, and he didn't mind stretching himself to get it done.
I'm so glad his sister told that story. That's good. It doesn't matter. They can't catch me. 3-time Super Bowl champ with the Raiders, and when he retired, the NFL postseason record for catches and receiving yards belonged to Cliff Branch, one of the 6 who was part of all 3 of those Raiders Super Bowl titles. A lot of those guys in that Hall of Fame across the way.
Yeah, and he was his partner in crime, Fred Biletnikoff.
Yep.
They both had about 500 catches, and Cliff was the Zoom guy, right? He was the one to take the top off, as they say, in the game. And, Fred was just kind of working it underneath. And those two guys, Fred, of course, already in the Hall of Fame. So it's exciting. And the interesting thing about this class has been that all these guys had to wait. There were no first ballot guys. There were no quarterbacks. There's a lot of unusual things about this class. And so you're talking about a lot of people who are deeply, deeply appreciative.
Justin Hall takes it out. And he is tackled around the 16-yard line. I think you've heard that from the inductees or the stories that we've been able to share. There's a different feel to it. For so many in this league, you start looking, other than Cliff Branch, you don't have many guys who would be taking on fantasy football teams, right? You've got an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and Brian Young and Richard Seymour. But those are the players that make championship teams or great teams come together. And it's really nice to step back and see them. That's what I love about this Hall of Fame. 362 folks in that Hall of Fame, and it is spread to include the people who make a difference in this game. Big run for Austin Walter, the touchdown earlier. And he takes it out near the 40-yard line. Raiders over 300 yards in this game, or right about 300 yards, and over 130 on the ground.
And just an inside zone. You'll see the block come back across the way here. Cutback run all the time. And that is the kind of runner you want. That one cut, you think of the old Denver Broncos, right? And Mike Shanahan, and put that foot in the ground and get your butt upfield. And these guys are really executing that zone running game.
Mike Shanahan was the man who Josh McDaniels replaced when he became the Broncos head coach. And you remember, Chris, I had him on a Monday night. They beat the Chargers, who were San Diego at the time. They got to 6-0. Then the season didn't end well. Then the middle of the next season, he was replaced, 11-17 those 2 years. But we got the sense talking to him this time around, he's going to approach it his way, in a different way, be more appreciative of the individuals and the relationships, and try to grow it still at a very young age for a head coach at 46.
Josh has been brutally honest with me at times when he didn't like something I said or did, and I was brutally honest with him. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think when he went to Denver he kept who he was when he was coaching and the offensive coordinator, and it took him a little bit of time, right? But now when he comes back, maybe dad in the house makes a difference.
Yeah. Mentioned his dad, Tom, was the coach of the high school that played right here, Canton McKinley. McKinley and Massillon was one of the great football rivalries. The terrific writer Lee Montville, Sports Illustrated, wrote about the 100th Massillon-McKinley game, and Josh McDaniels was the quarterback for his dad, Tom McDaniels. Josh missed an extra point. The kicker from Massillon made it. The game was won by the rival Massillons. We've hit the 2-minute warning here, but if you really just think about for a second, his high school is right down there, and he walked by this Hall of Fame every day on his way to school. And he's been in there a couple of dozen times, and to be able to bring an NFL team here, have dad here, there's a street named after the McDaniels just about 1,000 yards or so from here. What a way to start this second chapter in his head coaching career.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, when he didn't take a job, were convinced that he was waiting for the New England job.
Right.
You know, right? And, you know, with Bill could coach forever. You know, you don't want to wait too long there. But this came up, and Mark Davis and he had something in common. They were coaches' kids.
Right.
And there was a connection almost right away. And when he said that to us, I was like, I get it. Totally. I get how that could work, right?
There's Al Davis in the Hall of Fame. The Raider Nation is very proud. It has been a long time. It's 20 years since their last Super Bowl appearance in Super Bowl 37. Sack here for Jacksonville's Grant Morgan as he comes in to make the play. Sunday Night Football rolls on here on NBC.
That Dallas-Tampa opener is as good as what it was last year in the opener. It was amazing.
Fair catch signal made by Willie Johnson with 30 seconds to go. All right, Super Bowl probabilities. Put it on the computer. What do we have? The Bills as the choice to get to the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers second, and the Packers, Chiefs, and the Rams to win the Super Bowl. The Bills are the team Pro Football Focus, the SNF genius here, comes up with out of the computer.
Yeah, I understand that the Bills are a great football team. They had Von Miller. I get it. I get the whole thing. If I were picking one team to win it, I would pick an NFC team. I think there are fewer of them with a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And I think there are 13 teams that can make it to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. So
13
can
make it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I do. I think, and a lot of it's going to depend. We have to see what happens with some of the new quarterbacks, some of the different things. But this is going to be a monster year in the AFC and great teams, but not many of them. Out of the NFC.
I agree. Local news coming up for you next, except on the West Coast, where it's its regularly scheduled time. All new Fallon after that with Joel McHale and Brad Pitt tonight. Final score, Raiders 27, Jags 11 with Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, Terry McCauley, our team, Mike Tirico. Good night from Canton and the Pro Football Hall of Fame.